I'm Floramay, and I was in that band.
Right on. I'm Grady. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again.
It's good to see you too.
So, yeah, we got introduced by Kenny Withrow last May, leading up to that Homage Nation thing at the Kessler.
That's right. We met at rehearsal, I think, maybe. Yeah. But we've run in the similar circles.
Yeah, that
all
was.
these years.
I always find that so fascinating to go like, well, why have we not crossed paths before? How have we not met yet? And that kind of thing. But now that we're like friends online and things like that, I really love seeing what you're doing and seeing the things you're connected with.
Thank you. And thanks so much last time I saw you, we did the Women Raised Right festival that you organized with the Raised Right Men.
Yeah.
Raised Right Women.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fantastic. And you guys learned, I don't know how many songs, 50 new songs.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I love doing that. It's like not, it's hard to put it together, but the payoff is so great. And so I really love doing those kinds of things. And it brings in a new audience, and I have people there who say they live in Denton and they are big classic country fans and they don't know who we are or something, and I'm like, oh, well, that seems like I could do a better job of getting the word out maybe, but I love that.
Yeah. And it's great. And I got to meet I've been in Dallas for goodness, 22 years. And it's the first time I've met that many female musicians, because I've always loved to collaborate with other women. And when I lived in Austin, I did quite a bit of that. But after the Raised Right Women, we have been texting, and I'm going to host a Raised Right Women Write, WRITE. And we're going to do a song circle and do some songwriting together and do sort of it's going to be really cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. You were the catalyst for that.
I absolutely love that. And I would love for something like bigger to come of that.
Yeah, we could do a show with the original music.
That would be really amazing.
Because everyone has their original songs that they may or may not have shared, out and
or a record.
Or a record, yes, or two.
A record and a song, or a record and a show. I mean,
yeah.
Actually,
that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, let's keep going on that.
Yeah. So this has been when I was driving here, I was listening to the rest of your interview with Kenny Withrow.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, and played on my last record. And I was taking a few notes going through my journey of bands that influenced me and at different ages, and how that music is seen in my songwriting today. Even, you'll pick up, oh, that was a Grateful Dead lyric or lick that I borrowed and incorporated into my music.
I think it's really fun. I love lists. I like writing things down, and I like the memories that you'll spark, because I was doing that yesterday. I was recording my little solo bonus interview or episode about Bob Weir. And I was like, how many times have I seen Bob? And I went through what I could remember. And I was like, I've seen him 7 times. And I went through and I copied down the set list. I made myself a little thing in like a Google Doc. And then I was, just reading them down. And I was like, oh, I remember that because I was, so-and-so was talking to me during that song. Or, I had a beloved aunt that was at one of these Willie Nelson picnics that the Dead played in 2003. My first time to see the Dead, or any, really any of them. My second time to see Bob, but and it was amazing to have those memories flood back. Remember who I was with, and I love that about records too, and my own journey, and like the way that music and songs and recordings, the way that they just spark, these ton of little memories they're still there. They're just kind of, they're kind of hanging in the shadows a little bit.
Yeah, the songs are like time machines that take you back to that moment.
Yeah. Do you, how long have you been writing? How about that?
Well, I've been writing for ever since I could write. I think I used to leave little poems on my mother's bed, little gifts
Sweet.
as poems when I was little. And then in high school, well, grade school, I would write poetry. And when I went off to high school, I went off to boarding school in near Washington, D.C., and I learned how to play guitar. And I was taught by some seniors there. And my poetry, when mixed with music, all of a sudden I realized, these dark poetry, I don't want people this to get stuck in their head. So it turned my poetry more positive, I think, once it hit music, and made me want to have the chorus be like a mantra, a positive mantra that someone would want to, that gets stuck in your head. Mm-hmm. Yes, I've been writing a long time, and I've always loved English and the words and just crafting with words. When I went off to boarding school in 10th grade, the seniors there were these old hippie girls that were Grateful Dead fans, and they taught me how to play guitar. And the first songs I learned were Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Over the Hills and Far Away by Led Zeppelin.
Fun on acoustic.
Yes. Just, played it over and over until my fingers bled,
Sure.
Just was going to get those licks down. And those are, but it was just a wonderful journey. And then when I finally did see, talking about your first show, I saw the Grateful Dead for the first time in 1988 in Landover, Maryland.
Oh my God.
And I was looking at, I remember the set, but I went and I Googled the set list, and it was Box of Rain was in the set, and then Ripple Encore.
Oh my God.
Which they hadn't played an electric version since like 1973 or something. And it was, everybody's like, I can't believe this is your first show. It was just, so seeing them live changed something in my music as well. The way I play guitar and just the influence, because I knew their music on record, but when you see a live show, something changes, and it influenced me greatly, to the point where I followed them for a couple of years.
Really?
Yes, I have all my ticket stubs.
Oh my God.
So I luckily didn't fail out of college, but my freshman year was touch and go at University of South Carolina.
Amazing.
Go Gamecocks. But
and it seems like if you were on the East Coast, really, if you're on either coast, you get several opportunities a year.
Yeah, to just travel up the coast. And so I had friends that we would all go, but that was a lot of fun. And it always had my guitar with me wherever I went. I would just take it. And then back then in the parking lot, you could go from jam to jam in the parking lot and just play in different circles. And it was just, it was a great experience.
It sounds amazing. It sounds really amazing. And then you're writing all through that?
Yes, writing. So I guess went through high school. I was looking at all these. Okay, so when I first was introduced to music, I grew up in Florence, South Carolina.
Okay.
And my father's from Houston, Texas. So I was raised on Willie and Waylon and the Outlaws and, all that, Hank Williams, and just the really good country music.
Yeah.
And that was, the foundation of my fabric. And then around 8th and 9th grade, I really did the rebellious thing and started listening to skater punk and surfer punk, being on the coast, and so everything, Suicidal Tendencies, Black Flag, Violent Femmes, of course.
Yeah.
So all that music and just thinking that the country music wasn't cool anymore. But of course now those are the songs that I play. Back to my country roots.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
That's, that was the like outlaw thing was like very big in my family as well. And then you get away from it and come back to it.
Come back. Yeah.
For sure.
It's so nice.
That's one of those things like you can't really, you can't quite get away from it. Or like, I assume most people can't, is like the music that really made an imprint on you as a child, as much as you try in your teens to, to move away from it, it's there forever.
Yeah.
Those songs, if you, my first favorite anything was Alabama. And
yeah, we love Alabama.
And when I put that stuff on to this day, or that stuff comes on a jukebox, I'm like, I love this.
Yes.
I still love it.
It stands the test of time for
still
sure.
hits me.
Yeah. Growing up in South Carolina, I am the oldest of 5 children. And we all play music. We have a family band. We're called the Roseneath Ramblers. And we still play, when we get together, we'll jam at the barn, and it's so much fun. We did a couple of recordings with them, and it was original music as well as covers of our favorite, the music we were raised on, that kind of.
Did your folks play?
They didn't. I think it skipped a generation. I grew up taking piano lessons, and we all had to take piano. And then I think it was probably around 8th grade where I quit piano and then, and I rebelled to play guitar. Because a lady's not supposed to have calluses on her fingers.
Sure.
So I was like, oh, yeah, watch this.
Yeah.
So it sort of became that. But then all my siblings followed suit and are all very musical. So I think it skipped a couple of generations, but our parents love the music, and they're very supportive of us playing, and we do shows, and it's a lot of fun to go home and play with them.
How'd you end up in boarding school?
Well, I actually wanted to get out of town, and I just begged my parents actually to let me go. And my aunt had gone there in the 1950s. It's the Madeira School, and my cousin also went with me, so the two of us went off. And I think the timing was right. Actually, 4 out of 5 of us went off to school. I think my mother was just kind of ready for us to, get out of the nest. But it did us all well. It definitely changed my life, and music became a very important part of my life when I left home. And like I said, I carried my guitar around wherever I went and played for whoever would listen.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would have jumped at that when I hear, like, my brother went kind of as punishment, because I think my mom was probably ready for all of us to be out of the house, and then he was causing trouble, so it was like, get out of here. And I would have loved it. I wish. I feel like I wanted to get away, and they were like, no, you stay close, kind of thing. And I was like, come on. So I'm always envious when I hear that someone got to go and, just live at, with a bunch of other kids. And
yeah, it was all girls. So
yeah.
It was a great environment. And just kind of growing up in the same little town, you have, well, we all have our stories, but I had my bullies and things like that, growing up, and it was nice to leave that and recreate this image of myself that I envisioned. And
yeah,
it included the guitar and the camera. I was a big photographer.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good to reinvent and meet like-minded women who I'm still friends with today. We still travel together, and really great gals.
And then, there's something, I guess, probably it being on the coast, but like the Dead thing, had you been exposed to that at all before?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Definitely not. In high school I was, and that's when I, discovered Joni Mitchell and really delved into her music, and still really love her songwriting. Big deal. And all the, anything in the late 60s, early 70s, all the harmonies and all the Crosby, Stills and Nash. And there's some really, and I was going back to what I was listening to in grade school, like 8th grade. I remember listening to, and this is a totally other end of the spectrum, but Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Oh, yeah.
I just obsessed over that record. And when you're kind of blue, you can really go deep with that one. And, it kind of so music is therapeutic in a way that it can either take you down the tunnel or it can lift you up, and that was one of those. But it was a big part of my healing and my growing, but that, so kind of going from the darker music to than music that makes you feel good, and writing music that has a positive message, like I said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that, like The Wall, or so much of Roger Waters, I guess, who I credit mostly with writing that stuff, is the impressive amount of material he was able to come up with, to look at Wish You Were Here, or those earlier things where it's these longer things, and then with The Wall, the songs are, there's a few long ones, and they kind of have some jam out moments, but then there's also really short ones, and there's really, it's so dense.
Yes, it's like and I guess that's how I make my albums now. It's like you're putting a movie together, and each song is a scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Whether it's a long song or a short song, and it takes you through. And The Wall really showed that, rock opera sort of approach to making records. And I see how that kind of affected mine, the order of everything, and how you, the messages that you're giving, and the resolve, sort of at the end of it.
Do you still keep the positive mantra?
I do.
Thing
Yeah.
going?
Yeah, I
That's
do.
cool.
And songwriting is therapeutic as well, I think. You, some songs may not ever see the light of day, but they've been written, in a moment that inspires. And I go with the theory of, I think Townes Van Zandt said that sitting in the right chair at the right time to catch that song.
Yeah.
Because it sort of comes from the heavens down through your head onto the pen, to the paper. And, next thing you know, you've caught a song, but it was sort of out there already in your head or playing over and over. And you just happen to get lucky.
Have you heard that story about the Pancho and Lefty, how it's has some origin in North Texas? That he says, I was in a hotel room north of Dallas. I always want to imagine it's Denton or Louisville or something, like something I'm familiar with. I was born in Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want to imagine it's he says, I was just kind of trying to take a nap, and the window was open, and he's like, and it just kind of flew in the window. And I, sort of said, okay, well, I got to sit up and write this down.
Yeah.
And that's where that came from, which I think is amazing. And also telling about him about, oh, well, no matter what you're trying to do, sometimes the song is ready, even, if you're trying to take a nap.
Yes.
The song is there going, hey, man, I got other plans.
It's blown in on a breeze through the window.
Yeah.
For sure. I really believe that. We, some of us are just lucky to be a conduit, I guess, to catch these songs. And sometimes I'll be out walking the dogs, and a melody will jump in my head or something. If I don't have my phone to record it, I'll try to race home so I can catch it before but it's like being tuned into a radio station almost. And you just always have this constantly playing melodies and things. And if you have the wherewithal to organize them and put them down and record them, then they have a life of their own.
Yeah. I've written a few, but I would not consider myself a songwriter ever. But you have to be a craftsman or woman at this, in some way, and go, well, this is what I do. And you have to kind of be able to, work something out of a stone or whatever. And then sometimes they can kind of come to you pretty well realized, and it's just as quick as you can get them down. Do you fight with them sometimes to get them out?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's sort of, I think of Guy Clark as being a songsmith, and he was really chiseling and intentionally creating and changing those words too. And I'll say probably 80 or 90% of my songs do just come as they are. And I used to not go back and edit and change, but I think that's a good thing to do, is go back and, hone and see if it can be a little better. But for the most part, I think they're born a certain way, the song is. And if it's pleasing to your ear and just seems to roll off your tongue, I think that's, I usually keep it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like inspiration's important, and I understand why people would have that sort of sacred mindset of like, well, I don't want to mess with that.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing came to me and it's a beautiful thing. I should not, taint it in any way, but working on it and making it better is also a great thing. And
it
and
is, yeah. Crafting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And writing, collaborating puts you through that process. I do a lot of songwriting with Shelley King from Austin,
Mm-hmm.
and we've written together for 25 years, and you edit each other. You go through that process where like that line could be better, or, so you go through a bit more of that and it cleans it up a little bit. So I think, there's something to be said about crafting as opposed to just letting it flow.
Is there like, when you listen to old songs of yourself, and you probably are super aware of where you were when you wrote it and who you were.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like, do you connect with your younger self when you sing those, or when you like, I don't know what, I've yet to see you perform a show of your material.
Oh yeah.
So like, do you draw from sort of all eras of your writing and stuff? And do you give, old songs new life and try to kind of dig them out that way?
I do. I like to play, there's sort of like the old hits, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
that people enjoy. I have a song I wrote about my dog called Cody, and that's, and they do, I may do it a little differently that on the record, like live shows will, you sort of change things a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty much like I wrote them.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to teach them to a band, I'll have to go back and see how I did it on the record. But it's, I do like to play the old and the new. This recent record I did with the New Bohemians is called Song to Myself. It's sort of a nod to the Walt Whitman,
Mm-hmm.
Song of Myself. And it's very... I see as time goes on from my first record to now, they're more insightful, they're deeper, they have more of a deeper message, I guess, that I like to, plus a good rhythm and melody, so you can sort of enjoy the song on any level. You could dance to it maybe, or you could, listen to it over and over. But I've, it progresses and matures. And this record with the New Bohemians, we lost Brad Hauser a couple of summers ago after we recorded. And it was just an amazing experience to be in the studio with those guys. It was Kenny Withrow, John Bush, Brad Hauser, and then Matt came and did keyboards for us and piano. And it was just a really great experience to plug into this band that had been together their whole life. And I brought my songs to the table, and it just took them in a different direction. I produce all my own albums, and this one had a more of a collaboration to it, and it wasn't as country. It was it had a little bit of a alternative edge to it, having them on there, and I really I'm grateful.
How did you meet those guys?
Let's see. I met Kenny. Our kids went to the same school. It was the Kessler School back in the early 2000s. And I was always organizing the pumpkin patch, which was the stage for the pumpkin patch. And I would get local musicians to play, young artists, and he would always come and do a little set, or his daughter would do something. And so we just became friends like that. And during COVID in 2020, I wanted to go in the studio, and I had all these songs, and my friend Shelley suggested, why don't you call the New Bohemians? And I said, well, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. So I knew Kenny, and then she gave me John's and Brad's number. And within 20 minutes, I had them booked for the studio to come in. And no one was working at the time as well.
Yeah.
So they all are from this area. They came up from Austin to Dallas, and we recorded at Jim King's studio in Stevens Park Village, and it was just an amazing experience. It's really cool.
Were you a fan?
I was, yes. And that was one of the things I have written in college, following the Grateful Dead and, being obsessed with that music. When I first heard What I Am by Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians, Kenny Withrow's guitar lick was such a nod to Jerry Garcia.
Yeah.
And it was with the wah-wah and the whole, and I was like, this band, there was some connection there for me, and I really obsessed over them. And they were part of my, things I loved. I wasn't only listening to the Dead. I had friends that's all they would ever listen to.
We all know those.
We all know.
Oh,
but this is a different show. No,
right.
It's, yeah.
Yeah. What about the, I feel like I've seen a performer, like I've seen a guy play a show and he played no Dead songs, but he played all songs that they covered. And it was like, I'm doing
Mama Tried.
Yeah, he was like, I'm doing, or like he did he's like, he did You Win Again, which I can never remember if it's on Europe 72 or if they were just playing it on that tour, but it was very obvious to me that he did not have a very large musical scope.
Right.
But he had been introduced to enough via the Dead to kind of come off like he did. Could be like, well, this is an old blues tune, or this is an old country tune, or and I think even, and or Dylan or whatever, like they did a fairly good job of like keeping up with what was going on. And I've definitely heard probably Bob Weir say, "We love our fans. We wish he wished they had listened to more music than just them."
Mm-hmm.
I think, I can't imagine the amount of pressure that must be.
Yes. I guess we should note that Bob Weir did just pass away 2 days ago, and it's really an end of an era. And yes, made me start reflecting on how he and the Dead had influenced my music and live music. Like I said before, he played till he couldn't play anymore. He, and most musicians don't retire. I guess you see, even if they say they are, they'll still come out and do another tour.
Robert O'Keefe, we see you.
Yeah, Rolling Stones. But it's just, it's in your soul. And Bob was one of the last of that band to sing those songs, and the songs will live forever. But he was there bringing it to different generations. Having John Mayer in the band brought. I mean, I finally, said, okay, I'm going to go check out Dead and Company, because there was a group of us that were like, no, that's not the Dead.
Right.
But it was Bob, and
right.
Phenomenal.
Right.
And John Mayer was just so great
to
see, and brought all the young kids in, and we had, so it was just bridging the generations, and I got to see them. I guess I got to see them 4 times. But the Grateful Dead, I got to see, I think it was like 18 times.
Oh my God.
On tour.
I'm so envious. Yeah, I went in skeptical, and but that was such a smart move on Bob's part.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when, so I went to Fare Thee Well because I'm a Fish fan, and when I heard, they're going to do a big 50-year anniversary, Trey from Fish is going to play, I was like, I'm in. I've seen them. I went on tour with them when I was, in early college, and there's so much trust there. The amount of trust you establish with a band or a musician when you've followed them from, venue to venue, state to state. I was like, I know this will be good. Mm-hmm. I know it. I know this is going to be great. And so, and there was a lot of backlash that it was him. And I heard Kenny's name brought up in that. And that's the local bias. I don't know if anyone from outside of DFW or Austin is like banging the drum for Kenny necessarily, but then everyone was going, well, why not Jimmy Herring? Why not Warren Haynes? There, list goes on, and it's like, well, Trey or John Mayer helps fill a stadium, and we gotta like, you have to. This last 10 years was a big move. Was a little bit of because after Jerry Garcia dies, there's a downshift of we can play theaters and we can play festivals. They did a lot of those big festival things, but it is a different thing to go, we just want to have one headlining band and take it on a big tour. You kind of need star power. And I think that was a brilliant move on who I guess I'm going to credit Bob with it.
He did. Well, John, I think, came to him and was like, begged him to do it. And Bob's like, okay. It's basically, I think he like camped out in his front yard or some story like that. I don't have it correct.
Well, good on him.
Yeah. He was like sought after it. But yeah, really, I was impressed in how John was able to incorporate into it. It wasn't the John Mayer show. It was, he definitely took his role. And what a gift to be able to do that and to keep Bob on the road and in the big stadiums and the, playing big shows. So that was great. Thank you, Bob Weir and Jerry.
Yeah.
For your music.
Tell me about, 1988 is the first Dead show. Tell me about like, what that was like. You knew kind of what to expect going in. You've heard tapes and things like that. Did you kind of?
I did. Yeah. There's nothing that can prepare you for that experience. I'm just the visual experience of the whole parking lot where people are cooking falafels. I had my first falafel, I think, in
a Grateful Dead parking lot,
and selling tie-dyes, and I was making my own tie-dyes, and after this first show, but the other cool thing is I got a ride up there, but then I took off on my own and was able to. I did that a lot at shows where I just take off and be able to get up front back before they were really checking tickets, So it was always fun to be able to stand right up front. But it was amazing, and the music was. I think the set that I got to hear on my first show was really a lucky first set.
I'll have to look that up. Is that Capitol Center in Landover?
Yes.
Is that what that's called? Yeah, I'll have to look that up.
September 3rd.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's something to it that you just can't quite explain until you're there. But I saw it at Fare Thee Well. Was like once everyone was sort of locked in. You look and you're like, there's 80,000 people here, and everybody is like on the same wavelength. Everyone is just completely tuned into this, and you can watch, someone hit a lick or something, and the whole crowd, 80,000 people go nuts and go, man, this is you really understand the power of it and how tuned in the audience is. It's different from any other show, from any really other crowd you can see.
Yeah, like if Jerry Garcia smiled, everyone would go nuts because he didn't do it
right, or lifts an eyebrow sometimes, and everyone's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And I like, I'm not like, I don't listen to as much 80s Dead as I should. And now that I'm playing with Kenny and they're hardcore 80s Dead fans, because that was their scene and when they saw them, and so I'm trying to educate myself, and I hear it on the tapes when Jerry really goes for something, and you hear the whole crowd lose it. You're like, I mean, that is power. It's real.
Yeah, it is. And the power of music.
Yeah,
and that's back to songwriting. Just there's such a responsibility when people listen to your music. I feel as the songwriter and the musician to bring them an experience that can help them rather than, bring someone down. Like during COVID, when we couldn't go out and see live music, you realize it was like group therapy to go see live music. And when we did do shows, I picked my set list to be like inspiring songs, and things that would take us to a different place. Speaking of COVID, I'm jumping all around in my timeline of things, but
That's great.
My husband, Gabor, and I played on the front porch during COVID and did a Front Porch Thursday live on Facebook.
Yeah.
And everyone tuned in, my mother in South Carolina, people all over the world. And it was a really great way to bring music during that time. And as we walked around our neighborhood, we realized that our whole neighborhood in East Kessler here in Dallas is full of musicians. And they're all professional musicians. And they were all at home because no one was playing. So I had an idea that on a Sunday afternoon, everyone sit on your front porch and play from 2 to 4. And the audience walks around from house to house. And so we did this the first time to be outside and safe and all that stuff. And it was such a hit. They were now doing our 9th. We just did our 9th one in December. And it's called the Music Safari. It's in our neighborhood. And so we had 10 bands playing on front porches. We have about 350 people walking from house to house to hear different music. And so just a way to bring music. And it's such a cool thing to do it outside and you're meeting your neighbors. But music is just a way to bring people together.
Yeah.
And whatever's going on in the world.
Yeah. I think everybody did a lot. Or everyone I know tried something different, tried doing something a little different to stay in it, kind of, the Facebook Live or YouTube stream thing was, so revolutionary, that was just it was like the technology and then everyone's ability to do it well or not well. But just the fact that you could do it was amazing.
And that you wanted to do it. People are like, right. I feel the need to, keep music going to the people, and
people responded. When we got on those things and hey, if you can donate some money to
for sure.
We made some money that way, and just the support in the community became realized in a different way, in so much a different way than come to this specific place, pay this amount of money, buy drinks over here, do this thing on the dance floor. It was nice to know that we could do something different and the audience could do something different and still, do it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's great.
I really realized how much I loved the whole ritual of everyone showing up. Everyone kind of shows up at a different time. There's always, that the person who's always early and kind of will scout out what's going on. And, they might call and go, oh, you park here and you take, you walk in this door and then everyone gets there and kind of starts getting set up and maybe like a joke gets told or something like that. And then the playing starts and everyone kind of loosens up. And then by the end, the whole mood has changed. And then it's a quick goodbye. And so, some people got the drummers or the person who's in charge of the PA might have to hang out a little bit longer than everybody else. Yeah. And I was like, I love every little part of it and the way it unfolds and the way, and I've been doing that since I was 15 and had never really thought about that there is a little bit of a ritual to it every time. And we, it's like we just pretend it's not there or something. It's just whatever we do, but it does have a certain pattern to it. And 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 now I still appreciate those little things, and we laugh about them. There's, it's always someone early, always someone late. And someone's always like in a mood about something or whatever, it's funny. The whole thing is like pretty special in my mind.
We're communing, we're communing. We're doing this together. We're in this together, and we're bringing music to the people, and that's a good thing.
You mentioned your family band, but have you been I noticed you have like a thing with maybe Carolyn Wonderland, and is your friend Shelley in that as well?
Yes.
And then like, do you have a set band, or you have other, like, are you a band person?
I have a lot of bands.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I was in that band. I've starting, let's see, for the family band, and then in college I was in a band called the Shake Peasants, and we did a lot of like Devo covers, and it was really interesting.
Awesome.
And then when I moved to Austin, first I left home, South Carolina, and on my way to Austin went up the East Coast to New York, then out to Idaho, and stayed in Idaho for a few years. So I worked at Grand Targhee ski resort and played the après ski there. Played those gigs, and I was a baker as well, and that was really cool. And then came down to Austin, and my intention was to start an all-girl bluegrass band. Mm-hmm. I was raised on bluegrass music, and that's how I learned how to pick. And with that, I one of the first parties I went to, a barn party. It was a full moon barn party Leanne Atherton would throw, and I met Shelley King. And I said, "Oh, another songwriter. You want to go write a song?" And she's like, "Right now?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go write." And so I guess I was hounding her a little bit, but we were best friends like the minute we met. It was great. So we hung out a lot and started writing, and started the first band the two of us played together as a duo, but we were SAS, the South Austin Soul Sisters.
Hell yeah.
And that was with Leanne Atherton, the two of us. And then our friend Terry Cote joined, and it was still the three. And then from SAS, we were supposed to play an all-women festival, and no men were allowed. So Shelley called and said, "Okay, I need an all-girl band, and what should we be called?" And on the way in the van there, we said, "Well, we'll be Sisterville." And then we said, "No, Sis DeVille." So that's the name of the all-girl band, Sis DeVille, like the Cadillac of all-girl bands. And that has been together for over 20 years. Lisa Pankratz on drums, Sarah Brown on the bass, Carolyn Wonderland on lead guitar, and Shelley and I. And we have all original music. We do have an album in the can, which will come out in the future.
In the future, huh?
But we play maybe once in a blue moon, but that's a really fun band. They're coming up here, actually. I don't know when this comes out, but February 13th, we're playing at Poor David's Pub, Shelley and Carolyn and I.
Cool. That might have been the thing I saw advertised.
Yes. And this will be Poor David's last Valentine's show. He's closing it up after 49 years of amazing service. And David Card has been very instrumental in getting me to play music in Dallas as well. I've played that venue so many times. It's very sad.
I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I drove down to that new location. I played at the old location on Greenville quite a bit and had a lot of fun there. I drove down to the new location to go to a New Year's show and see Guy Clark. Mm-hmm. And it was my girlfriend or wife at the time. And we pulled in there, and at the door, it was $100 a piece. We were young and broke, and we were like, "Oh, well, never mind." And we walked away. And right now, if you told me I could spend $100 and see Guy Clark, I would give you $1,000.
I know.
But I was young and broke, and I think that was. I mean, I know I never saw Guy That was my only opportunity to see Guy Clark, and I let, a couple $100 get in the way, which
you didn't know.
pisses me off.
What year was that? Had to be
when they moved over there. This had to be like the mid 2000s, probably 2006 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And they had the Guy Clark Green Room, there. That's the name of the green room
really?
At Port David's, yeah.
It was right when they opened, so it was like early on. It was right when they had started doing those developments.
Yeah.
That development down there, that whole South Side thing. And I think we walked down, and Bill's Records had relocated there. And I think we walked down there and looked through some records and then came home. Or I don't know what we ended up doing. We didn't see Guy Clark. I know that. It wasn't memorable.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Lame.
Well, Guy I've got to see him a couple of times, not for the New Year's show, but there at Port David's. And David really loved having him there. And I think he played one of his last shows there with Verlin, and they drove back. But that was back to my record. Guy Clark played on one of my records that we did, Anyhow I Love You, and he came down to Ray Benson's studio in Austin and recorded with me, and Verlin was there.
Who's Verlin?
Verlin Thompson, his guitarist.
Okay.
And the two of them did a lot of touring, just the two of them.
Okay.
And he was just amazing. Verlin was sitting on the side. I go, Verlin, you want to play one? He goes, oh, you don't want me on there. I was like, well, it'd be nice.
Pretty much do.
And I always tell this story, but at the end, I pulled out my checkbook and I was paying the band. And I said, Guy, how much do I owe you? And he said, Floramay, you couldn't afford me.
Nice.
So they both did it. Wouldn't let me pay him, which was so sweet. But he really, he's made a big impact on my whole life. I've known his song since I was probably 3 years old.
Yeah. How did you come to know him?
I met him. Well, I've known his music forever, but my uncle, Donnie Irvin, is a law partner of Dick DeGuerin's, who is a defense lawyer who he defended Clifford Antone, who that's a different story. How
Did he defend Willie?
Clifford. Not Willie, but I'm blanking on the name.
Billy Joe Shaver?
Billy Joe Shaver, yes.
Yeah.
He defended Billy Joe.
Yeah. Okay,
anyway,
that's where I've heard the name.
It was Dick DeGuerin's 60th birthday party, and they got Guy Clark to come play out in Brenham, Texas. And I got to open the show for him out there. And so that was, this is actually that night of the video that's online now.
Go to Floramay's Facebook and watch this video if you're a Guy Clark fan at all, because it's amazing.
It was 2 a.m. after that show, and we were in Dick's kitchen trading songs, and they, okay, Floramay, your turn. I go, well, can I play one of yours, Guy? And he goes, okay. So I played the Anyhow I Love You, and Guy is probably 3 sheets to the wind, but it was just such a spiritual moment for me. And my father's actually in the kitchen off camera, and my memory of that was that I was floating above it, looking down. It was like an outer body experience.
Yeah.
And this video surfaced this year. I had never seen actual footage of that moment. And so when I saw the video, it was like so surreal that it did actually happen. And I look so young.
Well, yeah. And God, that's so funny, because when you see a video of something and then you've had this, because that was like, was it 2002 or something?
2001, I think. Yeah.
So you have this over 20-year gap of it happening, and I'm sure it kind of loomed large in your memory. How did actual video line up with your memory of it?
I'd told that story so many times, and how my dad was there, and I got to sing my hero's song to him, and it really was. It was cool to see that video, because it was better than I thought. Actually, I sounded better than I thought I did.
You sound great. Guy sounds so drunk. It's like if it's a fish story and you keep exaggerating how drunk Guy Clark was, the video proves it.
It does.
He sounds so wasted. It's awesome. And
at one point he asked me if I could do his taxes. He goes, "Do you do taxes?" I was just grinning so hard through that whole thing. It was just, I call these moments in time a nod from God. And I think we all have these moments in our life where something really amazing happens and you feel like you're on the right path, you're on the right track. And it's just a little wink or a nod from God and that was a big one for me, was that moment.
Absolutely. Something I love about that video too is you can hear those little disposable cameras.
Yeah.
And that and so that, and like that means also there's photographs from that night, but you can hear the little wind up noise they make.
Yeah, and this was shot on VHS, so
right.
It's kind of got the grainy little, but yeah, it's on.
Yeah, perfectly of its time.
So through that, I became friends with him and kept in touch. And then he came, when I called to ask him if he'd play on the record, he's like, I'd love to. And he came down to Ray's, and Ray came down, and it was, I'm a photographer, and I studied photography and worked in darkrooms forever. But I had a thing when I was a musician that I didn't want to pull out the big camera and be like a groupie, which now I regret so much because there's so many things that if I had a photograph of those moments, it'd be just great. But there was something about, because back then you really had to pull out the camera and get the flash and the light and get people to pose. And I didn't want to intrude on this sort of organic musician, being in the moment and not being a fan, but being an equal, I guess, sort of. So, but I do have one picture of Guy and Ray Benson. And, of course, I'm not in it. I didn't even get in it. I know.
We'll take your word for it. If you're like, I was there. I'm on the other side.
On the camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got, that's like, the digital era kind of has its benefits, because I had a really small camera with a nice lens, at the time, maybe a couple $100 digital camera, a very early digital camera.
A point and shoot.
Yeah. And I would take it everywhere, but it had a really nice lens and it would turn out really nice pictures. And now they're like on an old laptop of mine, and there's something with it. I don't know what, but somehow the photo library was corrupted, and so it's like I can see them, I can view them on that old laptop, but I can't really export them. Very easily.
So it wasn't film; it was digital.
Yeah, it's digital.
First generation.
Yeah. And so that's like a drawback of that is like I don't have hard copies of any of it, and it's sort of I'm sure I could figure out how to extract them, but that's a whole ass thing of I got to get in there but yeah, it's got its own, it has its own little drawbacks of like you weren't creating a physical
negative.
Yeah.
Because I was so against, that was my major in college was photography, media arts, and I was so against digital, the whole introductions, because there was that ambiguous period where digital wasn't that great, and so everything. So I swore that I'd always use film, and I didn't want to get a cell phone. I had a CB radio. I was just sort of like really dragging my heels, but then the tsunami of technology came, and we all had to. And now digital is really high resolution, and things we did in a dark room that took hours take seconds. So
yeah, it's there's a little bit of the art lost, and now you could be an art photographer who knows nothing about the process.
It's more about the composition, but that's they all have different forms.
Yeah I think it's that's sort of like, I mean, there's a thing here with like analog and digital recording where everyone I knew was very anti-digital for a little bit. It was like
the hardcore analog.
Yeah.
That reminds me of another band that I was in here in Dallas. We were called Over the River, and it was with Eric Swanson. Do you remember Eric?
Yeah.
From he was in Shoot Low Sheriff and Cowboys and Indians. and rest in peace, Eric. We lost him a few years ago. But we were a bluegrass band, and we had one microphone. We'd do the one mic approach.
Awesome.
So where there's a choreography. You have the mic in the middle and everyone's circled around it, and you step in for your solo and step out and the singers step in. So it's just a really nice, just analog way to play bluegrass music. Nobody's plugged in.
Yeah.
We had a good time in that band. We do like take some obscure covers like American Girl and do it bluegrass style. I'll Stop the World, Melt With You. That one we did bluegrass style. So that was a lot of fun.
I've done the bluegrass thing too. Being a drummer, we would but we all plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
We all everyone had the pickups, and then we had a drummer. I would stand up and just play a snare drum with brushes, and then we'd all use a mic. And I remember playing with better bluegrass bands that would do the one mic thing, but we would just mow them down because we had all this volume and we didn't have to.
That's called newgrass.
Yeah. Well, whatever we were, we were it was like way more, a more aggressive thing, of not purists or whatever.
That's funny.
We would be a little more, I personally would be try not to retrofit pop songs. Like we had guys in the band who would do arrangements of that. Everybody was free to bring in whatever they wanted,
Mm-hmm.
but I was trying to do town songs or Hank Williams or Merle Haggard.
Mm-hmm.
This is pre Raised Right Men, so I was kind of already moving in a sort of a poppier country direction. I just happened to be playing with a bluegrass band or whatever. But I love that music.
I do too. I was raised on it. You know how many bluegrass musicians it takes to screw in a light bulb?
I don't. How many?
1 to screw in the light bulb and 4 to complain that it's electric.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I love it. Who's your favorite in that genre?
In that genre?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I love Seldom Seen.
Okay.
I love the Seldom Seen. Gosh, there's so many. Sam Bush is amazing. Trying to think of all the Peter Rowan. Well, back to the Grateful Dead, that old In the Way album was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And we would do, I think we did Midnight Moonlight.
That's
off
a great
of that
one.
album in Over the River.
Yeah. Yeah, that was huge for me. That helped me, probably a whole generation of bluegrass listeners. That was my first bluegrass record, The Old In the Way.
Old In the Way, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they brought that music. The thing about crossing generations too, those were old standards, and it brought that to my generation.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just continued on, with him, Bob, bringing it to the new generation, in this era. So that's covered a lot of history.
Peter Rowan is writing those songs in that style. That's always a tough thing when you're playing something that defined what, and I think I hear it in country now. That's something that Dale Watson.
Mm-hmm.
That's something he, I think, excels at, is he can write a song that sounds like a classic.
Yes, he definitely does. Yeah.
And I think that was Peter Rowan's gift in that band, was he could write those songs that would stand up with
the classics.
Those standards.
Yeah, for sure. That's a lot of my songwriting is influenced by those. A lot of them are in the, you call it the folk realm, where you borrow chord progressions or melodies from an old song and you turn it into your own. And so I have a lot of I call my music Americana because it's country, folk, rock, bluegrass, blues. And so I get bored with one genre, but I have a lot of the standard bluegrass. I wrote one about my CB radio, and I borrowed from Pour Me Another Cup of Coffee, that old standard tune. But it's if you listen to songs, you'll always hear influences from older songs, and we just build on each other. It's folk music. It's about the people.
Yeah. That's like, Gillian Welch is one of my absolute favorites, and she does that really well. And, Dylan obviously does that masterfully.
Yes.
And I love anytime anyone wants to criticize him about that. I think he has a very good defense of, okay, well, if it's so easy, why don't you do it? And I love that. I love that sort of, I'm guilty. Just stole it. Go ahead and now you try.
Yeah.
Tell me what you come up with. And I think that's because there's still work implied.
Yes, definitely. It's influence more, and it's not stealing. It's borrowing.
Yeah. Well, even stealing is not easy. You got to be good.
Yeah.
That's like a friend of mine was like, how do you become a good pickpocket? Like how's that something you can just learn how to do because you probably get caught. That's like, it would be a hard skill to hone. And probably same with stealing songs or stealing, taking ideas. But
I think you realize later after the record comes out, which is what I've done even 10 years later, and go, oh, that was a Jackson Browne line that I somehow incorporated into my song. And I didn't even realize it until later. So it's not intentional, really. On my part, really, it's just influence.
Inspiration, don't mess with it. It's like if it comes to you and sparks something, I don't know. It'd be a shame to shy away from anything that had an obvious origin in something else, because down the road everything does. Literally nothing comes from nowhere. So
yeah, for sure.
Are you diligent about writing? Do you write like every day, or do you is it typically when a record is due or something like that?
Well, I started my own record label, so I don't really have a lot of rules or but I do, like when I have a bag full of songs, I'll like, okay, I need to record these. But I really get inspired. I think the songs come to me when I do. I think during COVID, I did go down in the basement. I had a room set up, and every morning I'd go with my coffee and do a songwriting and sort of go on a roll there. But I always have a notebook and handy, always make sure I have something to write on and when they come. But I've been writing a lot lately. I've got probably a couple of albums worth of songs that I need to record, and so I'll be doing that over the next year, planning for the next one. And that's just my intention, I guess, is to record these things and document the music, because it'll be around a lot longer than I am.
Sure. Do you demo on your own?
I do, just on my phone, kind of demo.
Yeah.
And then my friend Jim King has a studio down the road, and I'll go in and, like right now I have a Christmas song that I need to record for next Christmas.
Yeah.
But that'll be, so I have a few. I'll go in and do a single. I released this EP last year or 2 years ago now that just has 4 songs on it. So I guess EP is a thing, and singles now. You don't have to have a whole record. But I do enjoy the process of putting an album together. And usually I think all my records have 13 songs on them.
Cool.
For some reason, it always ends up 13, and there's like a secret track on each one. And the first one I did a hidden track. They're each done differently. One of them was tagged onto the last song. So you let the last song play like 1 minute and 42 seconds, and then which now you can't call up that last song. You have to play.
Right.
There's no way to just go to that song.
Yeah.
So I've done it different ways, and now I think it pops up as an extra number on the CD.
Mm-hmm.
But I always like the idea of having a secret track.
Yeah. It's the encore.
Yeah, it is the encore.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13, that's cool. I have a friend who's like, oh, every other year or so I make a 10 songs, 40 minutes record.
Yeah.
It's just kind of his, his thing. I think it's cool. And that you might go, I think I got 13 good ones here, or 14
exactly.
as it were.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and they need to see the light of day. I'm like, these are some good ones. And sometimes I'll be, just going around in the morning and all of a sudden this song will pop in my head and I'm, oh yeah, that song needs to be recorded. So they're still on that radio station in my head on repeat, all the different songs. It just reminds me that I need to give it a life.
What's your earliest like recording experience?
Let's see, I guess with the Roseneath Ramblers, my family band,
Mm-hmm.
we had a cousin that had a reel-to-reel out in an old tobacco barn. And we went out and recorded a record out there on reel-to-reel.
That is country.
That is country.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you still have it? Is it?
We do. I guess it was on now that I think about it, I'm not sure if it's been digitized. It was on a reel-to-reel. Then we had cassettes of it. And those were coveted because we'd make cassettes for our friends by, copying them. So there's got to be an original somewhere of that.
Digitize it.
Yeah, it's got to be.
That's the way to now to ensure that it'll, get out into the world.
Exactly. I did that with the last couple of records I brought out. I digitized my history. I was sort of all analog and all my newspaper clippings and things and scrapbooks. So I hired a publicist and digitized everything and then got things on Spotify and iTunes. And so everything's out there now. Good. Yeah, it's good. So it'll last.
Yeah. Do you like, we're talking about Bob and their legacy has been like well recorded and just based on, the people who play that music, that will live on for a long time. It's insured, Do you think about legacy? Do you have any like concept of that or
yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I think that's all I think about.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is the legacy that I'm leaving. That's really first in my mind. Like when I came to play music in Austin, I wanted to, I don't know what being successful and famous means.
Right.
Those words in themselves are really unattainable because you're always going to want more. And I think I've just now enjoyed the process of writing and playing. I try to play a couple of times a month, at least, and collaborating and finding new projects to be a part of. And yes, leaving a legacy. I think my music is a legacy, at least that maybe my grandchildren can enjoy, if not a broader audience as well. And the messages and the lessons that I've learned somehow, if I can impart that through my music or just, get people dancing, that's the legacy that I want to leave.
And you on the same path as Bob? Do you want to play till you can't anymore?
I think that's what we do. It makes me happy. I'm 55 now, and I'm, just don't see it ending anytime soon until I physically can't.
Yeah.
If arthritis sets in or something and you can't, which would suck. But yeah, it's just so fulfilling to me. I enjoy it in all respects, and I enjoy giving back through music. I also play nursing homes, and my friend Shelly and I used to play in the whole circuit in Austin, but playing just sort of giving back through music and playing, say, for the memory care ward, and they remember songs. They remember "You Are My Sunshine" and all these old songs, and it's just such a great experience to be able to give that to them and be a part of that.
Yeah, I've done a few other things where playing to like an older crowd and you can do something like I remember playing "Gentle on My Mind" for a group of people listening in Colorado, and like watching a lady just completely tear up and lose it. And I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
I made an old lady cry today. Yeah. But it was awesome. Like that's that thing of someone will hear that and it's connected to a memory or something that I love. And again, like we're relating back to what we were saying earlier, when you do start to make a list of something, you start to see songs and the way that they have little memories stored in them or whatever, with experiences or photographs too, will do it. And just being in a place and performing music for someone and seeing that reaction and going, okay, we've hit on something, something and something where maybe a memory might be hard to come by for some people, but you play a song and all of a sudden it's there. And bringing it up, I love that. I love when people dance. I love when they smile. I love when they sing along. I like when they throw money in the tip jar. But I mean, getting tears is a big one.
That's a big one. I was going to say that connection of bringing a tear through music is one of the most powerful things, because it touches a chord literally deep inside, whether, like again, with the nursing homes, if I'm singing Amazing Grace and sometimes and they're crying and I'm crying, singing it, it's just and it's not a sadness, it's a joy,
right.
Even if it brings back a memory, it's the joy that hits that chord and brings us, it's a moment we share. It's amazing.
I did an all Willie show at Dan's. It was Raised Right Men doing all Willie for a film festival at or like kind of the rap party for the film festival. And so many of those songs, I had people telling me. So I had a filmmaker stop me and he was like, my film that is in this thing. He was like, I started crying during Highwayman. I was like, oh, cool, really? And he's like, yeah, well, the guy my movie is about. He's like, I was thinking about him when you were singing it, and he was like, he was a highwayman, and he was like, I guess the subject of his film had passed away, and he was like, but he's like, I've been, I documented this person's life, and then now he's gone, and hearing that song really, really, connected with me. I was like, that's great. This other lady tells me, she's like, I started crying, and I was like, what song? And she goes, On the Road Again. I was like, how can you cry to On the Road Again? She's like, well, it reminded me of my dad. And I was like, okay, yeah. It's like, but I remember I'm being kind of tickled because I was like, oh, On the Road Again, huh? Like, you don't think of weeping to On the Road Again, but yeah, it triggered a memory. Love it.
Well, y'all do it so well that you really sound great and make people want to get up and dance.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much. That's all I want to do is like do the music justice. I was talking with Scott from the Dead Thing and there's a lot in that scene that's kind of rote or something, where it's like you're expected to do certain things or play on certain dates or certain things have certain meanings. Oh. And I was like, I care so little for that.
Like on April 20th.
That would be one. And there's like the days between thing. Like it's like August 1 to August 9, whereas like August 1 is Jerry's birthday and August 9 is the day he died. So there's like a big celebration on those days, which is great. I'm not trying to shit on that at all. Mm-hmm. But if you try to book a Dead band on July 28th, they're like, oh, we can't do that. We got a bunch of stuff going on for the days between. I'm like, well, what if we just did this, or you're expected on New Year's to do, an extra thing or something, like play another set or something, or
the same set that they played in 19.
Yeah, something like that. It's like, just, there's little things in that. And I was like, I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about the music. that is what drives me. That's my connection. Is I love the little parts of it have less meaning to me than just the songs, and getting together to play them for any other reason other than that's what we want to play is like secondary to me. I personally don't want to get pulled into any of those traps or something. Or I guess I don't like being told what to do is what this boils down to. Like I don't know. I think this morning my wife was like, well, what are you doing today? And I was like, well, I'm going to go to the office. I'm going to just kind of do some stuff. I may do this. I may do that. Floramay's coming by at noon. And she's like, sounds nice. I was like, not having a boss fucking rules. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, being the boss sucks, but like not having one is fantastic.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Especially if you don't like being told what to do.
Yeah, it requires just a little more organization and inspiration. Yeah, but I enjoy being the boss too.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm happy to do any amount of work for myself or anyone that I care about, but beyond that, it's kind of a why. Will it be fun? What will there be money? Will there be people? Will there be happiness?
Yeah, I'm a hard worker and work with a purpose too, like I want to help people. I guess that's what a lot of my, trying to, and music has been just a great way to help others, I guess, or just bring a positive note, say, especially if everyone had a hard day or the news is terrible, which seems it always is, that you could come to a show and escape all that, and bring, and just for that time, escape it and enjoy the music. Amen.
Does it help you? Like to help others?
It does. I think I'm an impossible empath. I just am very empathetic and feel others when they're sad. I don't know. That again, that's where the music can kind of come in and help a little bit. But I do enjoy helping others, and I'm a mother of two, and that's the mother in me is definitely, goes beyond. But I enjoy being a mother.
And you like music's obviously helped you, and you're aware of the power there. It's sort of that there's good medicine in it, and that it'll help.
Yes, it's big medicine for sure.
Yeah.
And making music with other people is really big medicine too. I for so long I wrote on my own, played on my own, and when I started collaborating and playing with others, it's just it's a camaraderie that when you're in that moment of planning a show, like this show we did with the Raised Right Women, and all the hard work that went into that, and then at the end of it, and it was all this energy we had, and that's when all the women got together and sort of said, well, I said, y'all need to come to my house and we can keep this going, keep this energy. And a lot of women, especially in this business or any business really, need support from other women. And I hadn't met, we all have all boy bands usually, we don't, especially up in Dallas, it's been wonderful musicians, and all the bands I've been in have been great. But I haven't met other women, and I loved harmonies and things like that. So I think something cool is going to come out of this, and we'll, it'll turn into something else.
I really want it to. That would make me so happy. And when I heard that that you had kind of sent that out to them, I thought that was amazing. And I think that's, good on you to recognize that. And I don't know how many of them are writers or what, but to go like, hey, we could get together and we could create something is amazing. And I really hope it blossoms into something like the porch safari thing or something.
Yeah, it could be a part of that for sure.
Or anything. Just, I like that you just have an idea and you go, this seems cool, and then you kind of, put it in a pot with some dirt, hopefully,
Yeah,
and a little
exactly.
water, a little sunshine, and something happens, and I really hope something cool comes of it.
Thank you. And even the act of doing these things, just the act of getting together and playing music together, just that in those moments, it's really good for everyone involved. And it's something I really cherish and I feel fortunate to be able to do.
Me too. Well, thanks for coming today. This has been fantastic. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. I really enjoyed talking with you, Grady. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. See you soon.
All right. See ya.